one thing that I was asked about was, what is the spiritual purpose of the tech team in relation to the church? And so the tech team, I mean, first of all, it's a team. And then if you think of how the church is a body and we're all members of that body, and what is that? I don't remember where that scripture is, but I know Ephesians 4 is unity in the body. And how we all work together to create one whole purpose for the glory of God. That's kind of what goes into it. So it's not just the musicians playing. It's not just the tech team, but it's working together along with church leadership. Serving on the tech team, it's an act of worship. Service is an act of worship. We're using our spiritual gifts to serve the Lord. In Psalm 33, it says for musicians to play skillfully, but it's just asking them for their excellence. And back here, we have the opportunity to give our excellence, our first fruits to the Lord with what we do. You know, it's not something passive we just do. It's something that we are actively worshiping with while doing this work. And then one of the basic things is when we're excellent back here, it usually means there's not a lot of mistakes up there, and people aren't distracted during worship. And that leads me into the last thing is, even though we're back here in the booth, we're all worship leaders, helping the church to lead worship and glorify God together. You know, if there's something that happens funky with the sound, it causes people to lose focus. They turn around and look at you instead of keep worshiping. There are some people who are really good at putting distractions out of their mind and really focusing on the Lord, but there's a lot of people that something goes wrong, whether it's a slide or something sound-wise. So that's why we do excellence, but that's why you're leading worship. And even with slides, like think about slides. If the words aren't put up on time, they're going to stop singing because they don't know the words. Yep. So that's why it's always important to be on time with the slides, on time with turning on the sound when it's needed. And so our attitude also affects how we do things. You know, if we're coming in not in the right place, angry or something, that's going to affect how we run sound. It's going to affect how we run slides. And so just know that what you're doing here is not just a job, but it is an act of spiritual worship, of service to not only the church, but to the Lord. And so that's the most important part. Now some pop quizzes. Do you know what this cable is called?
The one cable.
The one cable.
Patch cable.
I wish it was a patch cable.
Quarter inch.
Quarter inch. So yeah. Some people also call it the guitar cable because you see guitarists plug it in. So this is a type of cable. It's a quarter inch cable. It looks like a big, thick aux cord that you use for your car. Important cable to know. Anybody know what this one is?
XLR. That's the mic. That's the mic.
Yeah, the mic cable or the XLR. It's got the round head and 3 pins. Just these are some important cables to know. Those are the 2 basic ones. And then this is called a direct box. And it pretty much transforms one cable, the quarter inch, to the XLR, because the quarter inch cable you can only run about 10 feet before there's noise introduced into the signal. And so when we want to do long distance audio runs, we want to use the XLR instead of the quarter inch. So like anytime there's a guitar or a keyboard, I would suggest doing the quarter inch from the keyboard into a direct box and then take the XLR into the stage box, which then comes back here.
Right.
The XLR is your friend. It's called a balance cable. But questions about cables? Anything so far?
Do you have a RCA cable up there?
We do have one or two of those.
There's one back here. I'm not gonna pull it out. Yeah, it's got these, oh, no, it's just a 1/4 inch, never mind. I don't have an RCA cable with me, but,
Basically, it's what goes behind your CD player,
yeah.
what to be able to
just
go
stuff
in.
like- Yeah,
If you've ever plugged in a DVD player or anything like that, yeah.
right, yep, there you go.
Ethan, do you know these cables, or am I the only one? Because they're spending a lot of time, and I think I'm the only one. Do you know these different cables?
All I don't
Should've had-
do, I
There's also
really
a
want
range.
anything that
Before
I almost created a sheet with stuff.
Donna, before I started
Ran out
going
of time.
senile, I knew the name of all these cables too.
That's fine, I got it, I took it.
I still know what they are, but sometimes the wording escapes this older head.
There's also a smaller one called 1/8 inch cable. It's
Right,
that's
right.
used. You have one plugged into your sound.
Yeah, so this is the 1/8 inch or 3.5 millimeter. It's the aux cable that you all know.
Headphones.
That's
often
what we
use.
have to use, that's what I have to use up there for my Avion to put my earbud
Right,
in.
right.
That's that one right
Right,
there.
headphones, all that
With an
stuff.
adapter, I got the adapter on the
I guess what I'm
Avion.
saying is if I'm the only one who doesn't know the chord names, we're good.
Oh, okay.
We can move forward.
It'll be a test.
Right.
Actually,
We're gonna mix them all on my
earphones.
So yeah, so the basic way, flow, the signal flow of audio, is you have your source, so like a guitar or a keyboard or piano or something, a mic. It goes through the cable. Up there, it goes into a 4-pocket, and then it goes to that stage box. There's a big box back there with a bunch of cables plugged into it. That's the stage box. And then that actually travels through Ethernet to the board so that you don't have to have 20 XLR cables coming back to the board doing a 200-foot run.
You mean the big snake is a thing of the past?
Pretty much.
These days, yes.
Yeah.
With networked audio, it's beautiful.
For digital board.
Yeah, digital boards, yeah, you just need the one Ethernet cable, except you usually want to run multiple Ethernet cables just in case. I've had that happen during a service. One went out and you're like, oh, okay.
Do we do that?
We actually have two separate boxes up there. One feeds over there, and using that cable feeds for that, and then we got one for this. But no, we don't have redundancy on the main.
Okay.
Unless you want to start crawling up there.
Well, I thought we crawled under there.
No, it's up there.
It's up there?
Mm-hmm. Yep. You can walk from front to back.
It's hot.
Oh, I've never been up there.
Yep. So anyway, the signal comes to the board through the Ethernet. Then it goes out through the Ethernet back to that stage box. And then it goes into the amps. That's what powers the speakers. And then from the amps, it goes to the speakers. So you need a couple things. You need the source of whatever, a bunch of cabling. Then you need your mixer. And then you need amps. And then finally your speakers. That's basic signal flow. Questions so far? None? Beautiful. Okay. Now we can start coming to the board to look at that. So the way I have this set up is, you should get up here.
Did you?
There you go. So the way I have this board set up is on this first channel bank, right there. We have the drums and any percussion. Then we move to guitars and then keyboards and so forth and so on, other instruments.
So Jonah, did you rearrange this today, or is this still?
No, this has been
From?
since I've been
Yeah.
here.
Okay, I just wanted to make sure, that's
Yeah.
fine.
Now, this is all
Yeah,
pre-existing.
and then, that second layer of channels is vocals on the left, and then talker mics on the right. And I say talker mics because those are speakers up there. You gotta differentiate the two when you're talking.
Can they be offset so I can see the, like, off to the?
Oh, he wants you to move.
Just a little bit off.
Feed something like the
Yeah,
Dulcimer.
there you-
Yes.
for a second. You could be beside it and look.
Like the Dulcimer has a mic rather than a plug-in.
Right.
And so does Jared's guitar, because he
Right.
can't fit into the system.
Essentially, it's set up so that it's like in sections or groups of instruments.
How you set that up with the different sections, because otherwise we would just ramble it. Is that set up for every scene? Whenever it's turned on, it'll have all those sections?
No, every scene can be different.
It's stored though, we got a storage setting.
So
Yeah,
I guess my point is that takes a special knowledge to set up all the sections, and you want
Yes,
that done,
yes.
then, so you don't get in the weeds on stuff. And
Right.
you can always, then everyone knows.
just like you're building your new section, you have to come with a plan of where do I want things, how do I want things set up. Every sound engineer is different where they like things set up on the board. The nice thing with digital, especially this board, is it's easier to drag and drop in some of the routing settings. And if you want to learn how to do that, there's YouTube videos, there's all sorts of online material where you can learn
Down there, that's the.
where to do all that.
On the power, yeah, on the front.
Right
You
there.
can go back in front of it now, I can't see anything either.
So anyway, that's the basic thing. Now is the most important principle in audio, the most important one,
Write this down.
called gain. G-A-I-N. Whew.
Not to be confused with volume.
Right, right. They are two different things.
Get back over here again.
And we're going to practice this. Everybody's going to practice this. I'm going to watch you do it.
All right.
Because I'm a teacher, so it's like, oh, we got to do something practical. So gain is the input, I'm not going to say volume control, but it is the input control for how much signal comes into the board. So typically without gain, there's not enough signal. So we want to gain it up. We want to increase that volume into the board, that signal into the board. Keeping in mind, by the way, signal is electrical energy. Audio is electrical energy. It's transformed anyway. And so we have preset kind of goals, expectations where we want to set the gain. And this is for every channel. It's the same way for every channel. We just get to set it differently. So the way we set gain is like during sound check. I'm going to reset that. During sound check, we have our mic, test. But we don't do it with our ears. We only do gain with our eyes, visually. And so the way to do that is you find your channel, which is this mic on the end here. We push solo so that you can see the metering over here. You can also find the metering right here.
Wait, I want to see. I'm the blonde in the group, so.
No, that's fine. So we have our channel right here on the end. Notice it's not up, it's muted, all that fun stuff. We click solo so that we see it right here, metering, and then there's a meter.
Can I ask a dumb question?
You know,
Go
If this is soloed, why is this showing up?
So solo only affects that meter.
Okay, so
All
it's
the
not
me-
going to show
yeah,
that. Okay.
All the meters work, no matter what, whether you have it mute, and it will still,
Okay.
yeah.
Okay, that's fine.
So we solo the channel, and then there's, in this first thing with the 48, the LC, this is called the input section. You see this gain knob right down here. I tell people you need to sing your loudest well, not your loudest, but the loudest you're going to be during service, or play the loudest you're going to be during service. And then we slowly adjust that gain, watching the meter, watching the meter, watching the meter, watching the meter. You see that orange? That's where we want to get to, where we start to see the orange or the yellow. That's our
Are these the same?
yes, they're roughly the same. That's our benchmark, to start to see the yellow or the orange. That tells us that we're getting enough signal input into the board. Now, if we go all the way, we'll start to clip into the red. We don't want that, but we want to be right where that orange starts. It's usually around -18 to -12 on that meter. And that's how we know the gain is set correctly. Then we can unmute it and turn it up, and then now it's in the speakers. So you do that.
Can you do a demonstration of what that would sound like with the gain way down?
So-
I just want to hear I like contrasts.
Here's the, no gain at all the way down, no gain. And the fader's all the way up.
Wow.
Yeah.
Now, you're only adjusting the main, not the stage input.
Oh, so that's a good thing to bring up. Gain adjusts everything. It's the first thing you get to adjust. And so it adjusts the monitors, the live stream, the mains, everything. That's why it's so important, because if you start off on the wrong foot, then everything else is going to be wrong, and you're trying to play compensate and catch up everywhere else, which makes it worse oftentimes. But if you start right, then usually most things kind of fall right into order. So that's why gain is so important. Cool. Any questions on gain?
So you do it only by the meter and not by, you'll know that whatever that is, gain is 32 or whatever. You don't like say, oh, the mics should be at 32, whatever. Each one's individual and you will meter them all.
Yeah.
And it doesn't really necessarily go on the number of the gain for
No.
one to another.
And that's
No.
part of what should happen when we do the individual sound check.
Right.
Is that because some people sing louder than others?
Yes, exactly.
He would be a 20, or a 15, or he'd be 15.
Yeah, so everybody has different volumes. Sometimes the keyboardist likes to turn up his keyboard in the middle of the
I have a snappy rebuttal, but I'm not going to say anything. I will call that.
And so, yeah, gain has to be the first thing that happens before you start mixing. Again, it's done with your eyes. Don't turn it up and then start doing it, because that's one of the biggest mistakes. They turn it up, they turn the fader up to like 0, and then they adjust it. But that loses some consistency.
Where do you suggest putting the fader?
The fader is the last thing you adjust.
You want to leave it on 0?
It can be down to -30, -20. It's
So you have the fader all the way down at the bottom.
at the moment because it's off.
Okay,
But like,
for us to do gain, that's where it should be.
yeah, off or all the way down or muted.
Okay.
If you started with the fader and then did gain, it may sound good in here, but the live stream will sound terrible.
Yeah.
Because you, yes.
Well, the way the live stream is going to be set up on here, yeah. Well, it's been set up, but
Yeah.
so that, yeah, the gain you got to start off right
So if we get this gain piece corrected, that's going to help with our online.
potentially, yes.
Okay.
Well, and that's also more, it adds consistency from week to week. If everybody understands, this is how I set gain, this is the standard, that will create consistency in some of the mixing versus, oh, I'm just turning it up because it's too soft, but I'm not checking. Yeah. Now, gain should also be set it and forget it. So you need a good sound check to set it, because during service you don't want to be adjusting it unless you like really have to, like it's clipping and it's, but
So here's one of the things that sometimes happens with us, and I'm not up here Sunday morning, so I'm speaking off of what I observe. But we have band practice Wednesday night, and we have things set, like we save the settings.
Yeah.
And then they come in, and that's what we load on Sunday morning. Is that kind of pointless by what you're saying? Because we're going to go through and do a different sound check Sunday morning?
Not necessarily.
Sometimes we get different people, unfortunately.
Right. The nice thing about a small church is usually it's the same people on the same instruments. So a lot of times, well, sometimes, so a lot of times you don't even have to recheck the gain. Like you just look at it, oh, it's good.
Okay.
But most of the time you're not going through the whole process of like, oh, I gotta redo all the structure and redo all the gaining and.
Because on average, Johnny's somebody who's there all of the time. His
Right.
gain is going to be pretty consistent.
Right.
Or should be.
The fader might possibly change, right, but not the gain.
The what?
The fader possibly, depending on.
Yeah, depending on what sound, but.
And how many
But you
people
check
are
the
in here.
gain regardless.
You check it, you do a quick check, just to make sure, but then otherwise, yeah, it should be fine. It especially is different when you get different people playing, who have different volumes, different instruments. That's when you really want to make sure you're going through the whole process. But otherwise, most of the time it should stay similar. It's just you need to do a quick visual check.
We just took a little bit of a break.
So I would still like, and again, I'm the blonde, so.
No, you're fine.
So like, if something happened and I was stuck doing board Sunday morning, we should all know kind of where our averages are. Like I should know Johnny lives somewhere around 18 or whatever.
Yeah.
And so then when I go through and check, I want to make sure the gain's set there, but I also want him to talk into the mic at the volume he thinks is going to be his maximum.
And talking is usually softer than singing, by the way.
So
Typically.
then that may be something,
There are some people who they're opposite.
yeah,
I know some people who they sing softer than they talk, and it's like, okay.
that's weird.
That would be-
But then I want to check it and I want to make sure that when he does that, I'm still seeing that it's hitting just a couple of orange.
Yeah. Yep.
Okay.
Yep. And then after that you can start adjusting the fader. And again, the fader some will be higher than others and some will be lower. They don't all have to be at that 0 or straight across. All those pictures of soundboards that were the fader straight across, ooh, it's wrong.
Well, I think that
Tell me
was
how you
old
really
school.
feel, Chuck.
Huh?
Tell me how you really feel.
Ooh. Don't get me started.
That was old school. That's the way they used to teach it.
Yeah, so yeah, that was old school. They would adjust gain after the fader, after setting the fader. But
Yeah, because that's how we started out. We were messing with the gain during service. I remember doing that.
yeah,
And the one thing that's going to help back here is if everybody up there is consistent with that microphone, like don't stand back here and then all of a sudden like this and go back and forth because it's going to drive you nuts on your slider.
Try to eat the microphone if you can.
right.
Or at least stay in the same spot every time.
Yeah. And so like,
Sometimes you look back at Mary Ann and she has that thing way out there and she's not getting close to it. And
Yeah, it makes hard to pick up.
That's why the sound guys make the big bucks.
oh, and I mean sound. It's not just an audio. I'm using my ears. It's a very visual element. We're setting gain with those meters, but we also need to look on stage to see what's going on. Why am I not getting a lot of signal? Well, Mary Ann's like 4 feet from her mic. And then I get to yell out, Mary Ann!
eat your mic.
So, I mean, there's that element. Sometimes something's wrong on stage, sound-wise, and they're trying to give you hand signal cues to mute my mic, and so you got to be able to watch that, or just watching people's ears. Like some people in the congregation start going like this
Yeah.
because it's too loud. That's an indication. Or if they're like, they can't hear, or if they're not singing, sometimes that's an indication the sound isn't loud enough if they're not singing. So, your eyes play a big role in doing sound. Who wants to try gain first? Practically, good. I'm trying to load Spotify. It's not going so well.
By try, you mean go up there and see about setting it?
No, you
Yeah.
can go out here and set it. So
Yeah.
that's another, like, do you have it,
Do you want me to turn on the keyboard and try and have a different signal? Or
Oh, here it comes.
Okay, so you put it back to the home screen. No, you
You
didn't?
can straight down and get up. If you want to do it.
Yeah, so, yep, there you go.
Oh, no, I did that on purpose. I just wanted to see if the screens would change.
Yep, they changed.
That's my concern, like, that's one of the things, like, going through here. So gain is always on the home screen.
Gain, yeah, gain is home, and then you see that second, oh, you can see it right there, and so it's right there.
Sure.
You can also go to that second little piece, and this has gain at the bottom as well. So either or.
So why would the blonde want this screen?
Huh?
Why would the blonde want that screen?
This screen has a couple more extra things, like it's got phantom power, which is for condenser mics like that, which is 48 volts.
So what you're saying is I don't want that screen.
You don't necessarily need it.
Okay, I like that. I can do that.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I know, I thought about taping that down.
Actually, you just hand me my notebook.
Turn it on, Joe.
So set that, you do solo.
Ethan, get up.
no, where?
Well, he was actually gonna be the first one to
Stand up.
I don't want to stand.
Ah, why'd you bring your dad?
Okay,
So,
so we hit solo,
yeah,
and then do this until you get to, go ahead and go the rest of the way. Okay,
That's too hot?
too much, yep.
Remember, watch her.
and go up one,
Yeah, you're looking at the
It's
meters.
on enough.
go up to, see, there's your first
There you go.
orange.
Yep,
A little bit more. Oh, there we go.
Because you want to go for the loudest part.
Right.
So
So
you can't base
theoretically-
it off the soft.
Now, he's got 3 oranges, is that too much gain?
here's the chorus. So this is the loudest part of the song, so yeah, it's a little too much. A little orange isn't bad, but a little less.
So if you could get basically to maybe the first or the second orange, you're in great shape.
Yeah, yeah. Man, the headphones are rocking. And then now you can unmute it and turn the fader up a little bit. Yeah, so you don't need a lot.
That's why you do some zero them out.
Right. Well, and that's why you do gain first before turning it up, because if you already have the fader up and you're adjusting the gain, it's gonna get really loud.
Talk about those people holding their ears.
Right.
The little old
Did you
ladies
understand
from the
that,
president
Ethan?
up there, I can picture them now.
Okay. Yeah, turn it all the way down.
Hey, Jonah,
You're an expert now, brother.
Right.
you gonna clean yourself?
Of course, you've got Jackie Williams that sits right here. You could have it where everybody out there is going, ah, and she's going, I
So
can't
that's a
hear
good
it.
question.
Listen,
Why do gain first, and why get all this signal and only turn the fader up a little bit? Especially in older audio boards, every component has noise to it. And so if we get more signal, we get better signal integrity. And then every time we add an element like EQ, compression, all that stuff, every time we add something, that noise won't overpower the signal. We'll have more signal to get over that noise.
I just noticed that sounded really good. When you crank that
Yeah.
up, the sound quality was really good.
Well, and maybe, because every once in a while, we get a buzz in the system.
There could be a couple things for buzzing. Some buzzes are that noise. That's more of like a, but when you get like a, that could be what we call a ground loop or a ground buzz. And so that's what the direct box does, is it has a ground lift, it adds grounding or lifts it, takes it out, to make sure that the.
You don't get that.
Yeah,
Okay.
because electrical systems will cause that a lot.
Yeah, we have backgrounds.
You know, I feel that.
What do I feel like Tech is going to be asking for a budget this year?
Hey, man, we always need more budget.
I have lots of money right now anyway.
I always wish the tech budget just rolled over. Like some years, I spent $5. Oh, this year we're going to spend a couple thousand, you know.
Well, that's okay. We know the guy, so.
Right, you know the financial guy.
You may not want that. You may go wandering off and screaming in the sunset.
Anybody else want to have their due gain physically?
try.
Yeah, right. But the main question is, okay, so you're setting up the gain. Are you saying equal gain from floor monitor to stage? The main, the floor monitor. Is that equally?
I don't understand that question.
So,
Floor monitors are down there, the mains are up there.
Right.
Is what you set there going to be equal to both?
yes, this is before it hits monitors or the mains.
What do we, okay.
So if you're thinking about like a channel strip, have you ever seen an old analog soundboard with all the knobs and little buttons? And the first thing that the signal hits on top is the gain. And that's the same thing with this. That's the first thing we're adjusting. That's the first thing it hits. So doing that adjusts everything, the monitors.
But you may want to go over how to do it
We'll go-
individually.
Yeah, we'll go over
'Cause they don't
adjusting
always
monitors.
need to be the same.
Yep.
In fact, it's more likely they're not going to be the same.
Well, but, okay, so the gain affects both things.
Right.
But the level may have to be different.
Well, whenever you
Ish.
do the slider, does that,
The slider only affects the mains,
okay.
the house, not the monitors. Although we could talk about ways to do that.
Okay. So then we would have to adjust the monitors separately.
Yes. But I will say this, like at Hazelwood, when we have different singers every week, so we have the monitor level set, by adjusting the gain, we don't have to reset monitor levels because the gain is doing that for us and we're getting that consistency already, if that makes sense.
And the floor monitors are the ones that are going back to the
Yeah.
players.
The two bottom ones.
Yeah.
Okay. And so most of the time, we would actually want those lower and not as high as
If
the
they're too
mains.
loud, you get the sound of feedback in here, and you can
Right.
also, you can literally turn the mains off.
Right.
Yeah, and we've had that.
And we've had that.
Mm-hmm.
I think even while you were here, because
You noticed
remember you
about
shut
that.
them all off that
Yep.
one time?
Yep.
And so that's what you don't
Use
want.
in-ears.
It's important, because when I'm preaching,
We want to shut them off anyways?
I don't want to hear them.
Oh,
He's like, I want to hear myself.
We don't put the monitors, the floor monitors on the.
All right, well, I think it would be beneficial if like we all
Yeah.
did the gain, and then I guess we're gonna get the monitors. That's
Yeah.
all.
Go for it. So
Most
next.
of us are using the Avion, doesn't the
Does the
monster's not
gain
gonna
affect
do
the
anything.
Avion?
Yep, the gain affects everything.
everything. I wrote that down. I got it.
It is the first thing you do. It affects avions, it affects monitors, it affects reverb, it affects
Live stream.
live stream, everything. That's why it's so important. And that's oftentimes where people screw up.
We need to put that on a poster. The gain affects
Everything.
like
I expect to see it right, yeah.
the shirts.
There we go. We'll have tech team shirts, and that's all it'll say.
Now, the number isn't important on the gain. Some things, they have a lot of signal coming in. Some things don't have a lot of signal coming in. What if you get all the way turning up the gain and you still don't have enough signal? Well, two things. One, either the source isn't putting out enough, so like a guitar, like you could ask them, hey, what's your level at on the guitar? And they might say 50% or something, halfway. Or
Turn it up.
yeah, I usually ask for 80%. That 100% they might overload their own electronics, but asking for 80% gives good integrity and then enough while you can, and if you need to go up from there. Sometimes like these condenser mics, you don't necessarily need to get them all the way up to that orange, as long as you have good signal coming through.
And then you get your volume through the slide on the volume.
Right, right. And if you notice the sliders are consistently way too low, the way to fix that is you turn the amps down in the back. And then the sliders will go higher. That's how you fix that.
Oh, it's muted.
Here you go.
Okay.
Questions?
Nope.
All right, next.
Who next?
Tony, where are you?
I'll go. I mean, we're all doing it, so. All right. Is it going?
Solo button.
It should be,
Oh.
Solo button's on.
maybe.
Wrong solo.
Wrong
Oh,
solo.
And we
wait.
have
Oh, you had it
monitors
on
in
already.
different space,
It needs to be
right?
on.
Like on there.
So yeah, you might have to, there's a select button, you might have to push that oftentimes to see the channel come up, and then the solo. Yeah.
Okay.
That's what I was thinking.
Been doing a lot of weddings, so I have tons of wedding music, but I was like, well, worship music, where's my?
I'm feeling good about
Yeah,
one.
Windsor, nobody ever sits in the booth. Well, they preset it and then they forget about it.
Questions, comments, concerns?
One guy's there, he actually said.
I mean, I do,
during practice.
I've done stuff on these boards before, but I also come from the school of, did the gain stuff on the knobs.
One
and
Yeah.
guy was gone and they had.
Analog's the
Gal
best
come
place
in
to
with a
learn
guitar,
first, but
And I, when I was back
Different way
there,
of thinking.
the congregation could not
world.
hear her sing the songs.
I don't think I messed it up too much.
Was solo
Oh,
supposed to
that's
be
really good.
left on?
Hey,
you
Joe,
can, yeah.
while they're doing that, you said something about having their instruments at 80%. What does
Yeah.
that mean?
So like volume knobs on keyboards or guitars, all those have individual volume controls.
Like my bass has two pickups.
Except like the dulcimer.
Just back it off from the, all the way up.
Yeah. When they have their own independent volume, you ask them to turn it up to a certain
Yeah,
point.
Dulcimer doesn't have it, so you're going through a mic.
Also
then-
going through a mic, yeah. And Jared's going through a mic. Because he won't take the guitar to the place to get it fixed.
Neighbors
clean.
right over there.
And they will complain around here.
Saturday morning,
Um,
he'd be up.
Yeah. So anything with an individual volume control, and then you want to ask them, don't touch it.
Yeah, once you said it.
Right.
It's like the old, what was that? The infomercial, set it and forget it.
Yeah.
I hope it's stopped.
This is
That was
horrible.
probably-
All right, next. Jim,
This was
you want to do it?
one of the 5 songs on this playlist.
I've done this. I just reorientate my thinking, but I've done this before.
Is there a,
That's what I do,
saying we
actually.
should have the amps?
I just don't do it
at-
quite this way.
You're saying you turn it down or whatever, is there a generic
Yeah. No.
thing with our?
Can you tell
I
that
think,
sound if
I
it's too
think
loud
they're
or
1,000 watt.
I mean, based, it kind of depends on, you can't really tell with recorded music. You kind of need to look on Sunday. It's about where your faders are set. If they're set too low and you want more, because here's the thing with the faders.
More control back here.
Right, here's the thing with the faders. If you, look, they go up they're kind of increments, but they're exponential. So it start at the bottom, a little movement is adjusting 10 decibels or dB, versus up here, a little movement adjusts only 1. So you don't, if you're down here, living down here, you don't have fine movements and adjustments.
So if you move it, you're really exploding it.
Right. Versus if you're more living up here, like -5, -10, you have a little more fine adjustment.
What's the effect on the trim control? Is that something you need to use for finer adjustment?
Trim, so that's a good question. What's the difference? Gain is electrical and analog versus trim is digital. So it takes the signal and it digitally makes it louder or digitally makes it softer. You want to do gain before trim. Trim's just an added thing. You can turn it up more or turn it down more, but
That's small increments too.
yeah, theoretically, you could even turn it sideways, and it's really weird.
Is that something also, if you,
What's the purpose of trim?
if you adjust?
Yeah, finer adjustments, but I almost never use trim.
Oh, okay. That's primarily 0.
Right. It's also digital, so if you have any noise in the signal or anything, like it's going to bring that up too, so it doesn't do much.
And it's the same, it affects everything.
It's like a digital zoom on a camera. It's real
Yes.
grainy when you zoom in.
Yes,
Digital zoom on
yes,
a camera.
exactly.
Thank you, sir, I gotta go.
Yeah, that was the most important part.
That was what I needed to know for my purposes.
Oh, cool.
See you, Ernie.
Take care.
Ernie,
so yeah, so
do you
that's
know when
gain.
you'll be back?
I've got tomorrow, and that's supposed to be it.
Okay.
Supposed to be it.
Uh-huh.
Going out with a bang.
Looking forward to it.
Questions on gaining or the most important step? If you look along the screen, you'll see the different parts of the channel. So we have like the home, then we have the input, then we have gate, which we probably won't talk about that. We have EQ, we'll talk about that in a second. Compression, it literally goes down the channel. There's a couple inserts for effects and stuff like reverbs and different things. And then this channel with the half circle, this is the main channel. All of these should be set at that 0 mark. But theoretically I did that already, but
Yeah, we haven't changed much.
yeah. And then at the bottom you have all your sends, so like monitors, the live stream, the reverb and stuff. So those are called auxes or buses.
Now, you're on that one channel still right now.
The one channel just going down.
So if we were looking at that, that would be because we're hearing something wrong on live stream. We can't figure out where it's coming from?
Yeah, if you want to adjust this channel's volume in the live stream, you can do that.
Okay.
In regards to EQ, gotta love touchscreens
Seriously.
But they need to be cleaned.
when they work. That's
I was thinking the same thing.
So hopefully you understand the general principle of EQ. You turn up the lows if you want more bass.
Just like your car.
Right.
Generally speaking, we probably won't do that except on like a Wednesday night. When they were doing something.
Yeah.
Something was way out of whack.
I like a lot of bass in my
Is
voice.
there,
I was gonna say, it might be something we look at for drums.
is
though, to get that
equalizer,
bass
equalization,
more.
are there generic thoughts
'Cause
of
it's
where
not
you put
kind of
treble out of the bass, depending on if it's a mic, or whether it's a guitar or a keyboard?
Yeah, so we can talk
or back-
about
or,
some of those
drums?
strategies. I cannot stand those headphones.
Yeah.
We can talk about those strategies. So yeah, like with EQ, you can pull it up. We need a rockin' song. So you can drag it. There's also these things where you can select the frequency. You can select the frequency, sweep.
Oh, yeah.
Is there preset EQs that are like generic for certain applications?
There can be, but the problem is every room is different, every sound system is different.
So are the circles different instruments?
Different.
Different bands that you can control. The nice thing about this, on an analog board, you can't always choose what frequencies you're adjusting. The nice thing about this is they have what we call sweepable frequencies, so you can pick whatever frequency you want to adjust.
Yours is stereo, because like low, mid, high, you turn dials for mid, high, low.
Oh, yeah, I know how to play with things, I just,
Right, there you
You're still
go.
on one channel.
okay.
Yeah, it's the same channel, low, mid,
But
high.
he went this way.
Yeah.
Why are there all the circles?
So like you can have different, you can take out different things.
Aren't they tied from left to right, bass to treble, or is it not that way?
Yes and no, you don't have to do that.
No, because he took that and went all the way across.
Yeah.
Right, and then when you drag something from there, what does it change? A tone? Is it a mid-range tone, or?
Well, you can select what tone it changes. That's the thing. Any of these circles, you can go pretty much anywhere, and then you can either add,
So it pulls out
that pulls it up, or we can completely subtract it.
various frequencies in the
Right.
sound.
Right. And so, like, you can have it go really bright, or you can take all the highs out.
There's mud.
Right, there's mud. Exactly. So each one of these circles has a gain, which is you're adding or subtracting. There's something called a Q, and here I'll show it. I'll go the other way. The Q determines how wide that band is, so you can make it really skinny to pinpoint a frequency, or you can make it really wide to cover a lot of frequencies.
So when we say frequency, we could be like, you're talking about those higher tones or the lower tones? Okay.
Yeah.
So, because, yeah, you going this way has messed with my mind a little bit. Like, I can understand, like, those circles over there are bass tones, but that's not really what's going on.
Don't get too.
Right.
Okay, I won't. Probably.
It's just like,
But I appreciate you thinking I can.
it's having multiple options to select multiple frequencies. That's all that was.
No, I understand. I guess I'm just trying to identify like what up there would I consider a frequency, and I know it's like things blending together, but
So yeah, like, I mean, if you're new to EQ, the easiest way to think of it is low versus high. And start there and just do bigger adjustments.
Like you were talking about the drums, you want the low end, you turn up that low.
Right, right.
yeah. Like I said, it was this that just
Yeah.
messed with me.
Oh, yeah,
I'm
yeah,
like,
well, you go
I don't
with
understand.
Now, in advanced audio world, we do have an EQ concept called subtractive EQing, which means that instead of boosting everything and just going really high, because that will affect the gain structure, which we talked about, instead of doing that, we can subtract something else.
Sure.
So if we want more highs, well, we can just subtract the lows. Does that make sense? And then we'll get more highs by instead of going over and cranking up the highs, because before you know it, your EQ is going to just
It's
keep
gonna be
creeping
really-
up,
yeah.
up and up.
Yeah.
You okay?
Yeah, I'm okay.
He went to lean against the door, it was unlocked.
Not a wall, the door.
I need resistance.
You asked about specific EQing, so if a voice sounds really muddy or muffled, we have technical sound words: muddy, muffled, boxy, all that stuff. What you can do, this will work better with a mic. Some frequencies, check. Adjust gain, there it is. Let's say there's not enough highs in the voice, because I sound wonderful. We can go around 5 or 6 K with our frequency, and we can turn that up a little bit, and now you hear almost beautiful. Yes. And now I'm more intelligible with the words. Or if the voice sounds too boomy and bassy, you can take out some of the low end, and now it's very, airy. So, yeah, like with vocals, if I can't tell what they're singing during worship, I turn some of those higher frequencies up a little bit. Just a small boost to see if it becomes more intelligible. And then sometimes taking out some of the lowness helps.
Would you do that also, like during the sermon, for the pastor's voice? Or adjust on that
You
kind of a thing?
can, it kind of depends. So with like vocals and singing, it's a little different for me because you have a band behind you versus a pastor speaking.
Right.
He's one person, usually not a lot of stuff going on. And in this room, there's we're close and there's reflections, and so you won't need as much of that, but you can.
I want to sound like Barry White. So, big expectations tomorrow.
Oh, yeah. Good luck with that.
I'm going to say that.
Questions on you?
So, like, I was listening to the live stream Sunday, and we're working on making that sound better, but I still feel like Johnny's voice, there's something off with it. It's fuzzy, which is not one of the technical terms listed.
I mean, it's close enough.
Like the balance was better this week, and I think you could hear everything better this week, but I still feel like his voice is weird. And so I don't know, would that be a place where we would start adjusting?
His mic was too hot. His voice sounded like it's too hot. It's like pushing.
Sometimes,
Yeah.
but not all the
That's what it
time.
sounded like. It was muffled.
Yeah, so like if it's too loud, it can clip or distort,
Yeah.
and then it gives some warmth and fuzziness to it. That can happen.
But he's not on the pedal, he's using a regular mic. So we get far away from or close to it, matters.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so like you can definitely tell because
Proximity, yeah.
it'll go in and out. But as far as like when, like Mary Ann comes through pretty clear. But I just noticed this last week, like the balance of the instruments was much better. It really was. And I know Jim did some work on that, but
Yeah, the drum sounded better.
Does reverb have a lot to do with
It
singing
can.
voice on it, with it?
It can. Sometimes reverb can add a lot of mid unclarity to the voice. But I wouldn't say it becomes fuzzy or distorted because of reverb.
if there's time at the end,
Yeah.
if you'd be willing, I'd just like for you to listen to it a little bit
Yeah.
and see if there's a place to fix. But it doesn't need to take place right now.
Yeah, the only thing with EQ is it adjusts everything. So
This is something that like Wednesday night, that should be said, and we should not be messing with it. Like, as far as Jim and Braden tend to be the soundboard people, they're the ones who are gonna be doing the most work with that, and really Jim, and or Tony, because Tony does it on Wednesday
Right.
too. But the rest of us, that's not gonna be a place we focus
right.
when we're trying to survive.
Yeah. So yeah, let's talk about monitors next. Over here, in this section of the board now, we have a button called Bus Master. There's 16 buses. And then there's these little arrows down here that you can scroll through them. So on this first bus, we have the monitor, and the bus is just an extra mix that you can use, so it's separate from the house mix.
What does bus mean in layman's? Is there a reason?
An auxiliary send
They really-
bus, yeah.
I should have called it Beast, just so it could be
I thought bus was like a, I thought a bus with a bunch of people on it, like a bus with, I don't know, a bunch of different signals.
Yeah.
So you said that's different mixes?
Yep, they're separate mixes from the main.
Why would we have separate mixes?
Well, like, you don't want the monitor to be the same as the main, because
Oh,
you don't need it.
It's other
Or
things.
live stream.
Yeah, or the live stream, yeah, you don't necessarily need that to be,
You pick and choose what you want through each one of them.
Yeah.
right, and you can set it individually. So that's really nice.
And that's where if we're getting feedback in the mic, like especially if Blake is playing up there, we would turn down the monitors.
You can.
So that there's not as much feedback in the mic.
If his mic is in the monitor, if the mic's not in the monitor,
Then don't do it.
then the feedback's either from somewhere else, like the mains, or, yeah.
Okay.
And yeah, there's only so much to do. If there's feedback and you're like, well, it's your channel, you might not be heard today until we figure it out,
Yeah.
especially during service. So on every channel at the bottom, there's these sends. I hate this on and off button, but you'd want to make sure it's on. And if I wanted to send this mic to the live stream, I'm on that channel, I'm down at the bottom, I turn it on, then I can increase that volume to a point that I like it. Usually 0 is the standard, but it's only, you kind of adjust it how you need to.
And how do you know which channel that's affecting? It's numbered, or is it don't?
The one that's chosen.
The one that's
So-
select.
Yeah,
What
so
does
I'm
that mean?
selected on that mic that we were using already. And
But
then,
You were saying like if I wanted that mic to be on live stream.
yeah. Yeah.
So how would I know this is live stream and not in the
Oh.
sanctuary? Ah, it's up there.
Up there, it says, you can name them.
Sneaky, cheeky monkey you. I see.
You can name them. You'll also see it says B9, which is bus 9, which is the live stream here.
The 9.
Let's do the monitor.
But it's definitely not.
So say I want this mic in the monitor, not the mains. I'm on this channel, I've selected the channel. I go all the way to the bottom, and these are the bus sends.
What did you click on to get to that?
This
It's the bottom
is the
screen.
bottom,
Okay.
all those little fader thingies.
So then I would have to find the monitor and raise that.
Right, so you see front monitor there.
It's the first one.
The first one makes it really easy.
Yeah, but I was gonna say, there's others that have the level up, but it's not on, so. like,
Yes.
This mic is not being heard on live stream.
Right,
No,
currently.
that.
Currently, yeah.
Now it is.
I see.
Yeah,
No,
like if
it's
you don't
not.
hear an instrument, let's say dulcimer, that's because it's probably not turned up for live stream, the dulcimer signal, or the dulcimer channel.
Yeah.
Possibly, yeah.
Yeah.
And so then, so I turn it on. Ooh, I hate that too. You gotta kind of select that.
You have to select what?
Like, you see the little,
See how
it kind of highlights it?
Yeah.
You gotta
it
select
doesn't
that.
do it on the on button.
It's annoying. Some things are really intuitive, some things are not. And then you can turn it up, turn it up, turn it up, turn it up, turn it up. And now I'm on the monitor. Turn
It's
it
the only knob that does it, middle knob.
until I break your brain.
Oh,
That wouldn't take much.
already.
I survived May, so
You ready for me to break your brain?
Yeah.
You can also do this another way.
I'm a 24-year veteran teacher. Go for it, try.
You can push select on the monitor.
Uh-huh.
See how all that changed? That's fine.
Yeah.
And then there's this SOF flip. It's called Sends on Fader. And then now I can adjust the fader for it to be in the monitor.
Oh.
It's not in the monitor. And then it's flashing to tell me I'm on Sends on Fader.
So basically, the faders become the bottom.
Yeah, the fader becomes the control for the monitor.
Yeah.
Good. That usually breaks a lot of people's brains.
No, if I ever did it, I'd forget to shut it off, but
That's why it's flashing.
doesn't matter.
Turn off flash.
That early in the morning, I'd be like, why is that stupid thing flashing? What does that mean again? Stop.
So yeah, that's the monitor. Now something important to know
Now,
about.
why is that flashing up there
What's
on the screen?
Oh, because it's soloed.
Goes on.
Oh.
Solo's on. It's to tell you that you can click that and it turns off all the solo buttons.
Ah, okay.
It's great.
That's
It's a
nice.
great button.
Multiple options to do lots of things.
Yes.
Great.
Right.
It flashes. Anytime you see flashing,
Right.
that's bad.
That's good. Well, maybe.
Danger, danger, danger.
For Rhonda, it's bad.
A concept to know about monitors. Here, Ethan, turn the mic up in the monitor. Show me you've been listening.
I can tell you the answer already to that.
Turn my mic up. Wait.
In the monitor,
In the monitor.
no pressure.
No.
Mm-mm.
Not even a
Actually, I mean, you were right. There's a third way to do it.
Oh my God!
That's about it. So remember, we have to select the monitor first, and then we could go over here to do it, but you gotta unmute it. Yep, there you go. Check.
So when you do
There
it that way, you technically don't have to turn it on the screen then.
Right.
Okay.
Unmuting.
Unmuting is basically
Unmuting
turning it on.
it on.
Okay.
Ooh, we're rocking out. Well, this will be something for you all. When it comes to doing these buses, there's this idea of pre-fader versus post-fader. So pre is before the fader and post is after the fader. You'll see some of these say tap and the others say post at the top here.
Mm-hmm.
Pre-fader means whatever I do in the house will not affect the bus, will not affect the monitor. But if it says post, like it does on the live stream, if I change it, if I adjust it in the house, it does affect the monitor.
Oh, it does?
It does affect it.
Is that good?
It's good for the live stream,
Okay.
yes. And this is why gain is important, because if we have the consistency in the levels, then we'll be adjusting the mains for a good mix, and that will theoretically also adjust the live stream for the good mix. And the nice thing about this is if you look at the live stream, you can adjust the different levels, but then if, say there's an electric guitar solo that you need to turn up because he's not playing loud, but you want to hear it in the house, if you turn it up in the house, it'll also turn it up in the live stream, so you don't have to do like 2 jobs at once.
Okay, you just made a big jump. So,
Yeah.
rewind there
Yeah.
for a minute. So we can set this up so that what we're doing in-house will directly affect the live stream, and we can be more dependent on what we're hearing here, that it's going to sound like what they hear on.
Ish, to an extent.
Okay,
It still will take some adjusting, because you can still adjust individual levels before, it's kind of like a pre-level, but then if I turn it up higher, then it will go higher.
so we need to set something on live stream pre-level?
Yeah,
And
so
then
like,
set the bus to post, so that adjustments we make in-house affect the live stream.
That's what I do, yeah. And that's how it's set up currently.
Does that make sense, Jim?
Yeah, whose brains are...
Because that seems like that would be a lot easier on Brayton.
You don't have the chance to set it up too much. We'll set it up on Wednesday night and just check it Sunday morning.
Yeah, but if we set it to a post and we do make adjustments in-house, that would change live stream.
You still have to hear the mix, because you don't know how everybody else is playing, if your adjustments make sense online. It could be different. You
To
can
an
sound great in
extent,
here, and online could be totally different. Well, not totally, but it could be different. So,
To-
I mean,
yeah.
you can't just say one size does not fit all. It can often be very close.
Right, and that's what we're going for, because
Right.
we don't have somebody else just mixing it.
Well, it has been different. What was going on streaming was not the same that you were
Right.
hearing in here.
Right.
Up to now, we
Right.
have some of that.
So ultimately, you're saying like, down the road, that's what we want to do. Like Wednesday, when there's practice, we want to kind of set some live stream levels. So, okay, I'm trying to picture this in my mind. So Wednesday, if things are going the way they're going, we'll have half the people who will be here on Sunday.
Mm-hmm.
Or we'll have Johnny and Ernie and maybe Mary Ann. And then you get Blake and sometimes Jared and sometimes Steve and maybe even Tim on occasion who can come in. So when we do our gain sound check, like we have things set for live stream, we have things set for Wednesday. We load that. We do our gain sound check
Right.
for everybody. Now, is that affecting the live stream?
Gain? Yes.
So that is changing what we did on Wednesday also. Will it?
Yeah. I
Okay.
mean,
So then,
I don't know any way around that.
no, that's fine. I'm just trying to understand what's going on. So that's not, so even our sound check is now post, and it is going to affect the live stream. So then anything we do is now affecting the live stream if we stay in post.
Yes, to an extent. Not everything, but most things.
Is there an advantage to do anything on Wednesday, or should it be done all Sunday morning? You know, as far as the sound check and all that kind of stuff and adjustments.
Gain should be set on Wednesday based on who's here. And then I would suggest making sure the monitors are set and the house mix is nearly set.
Okay.
And then if you have time, go and listen to the live stream feed on headphones or something to see if you like it. Here's the thing with the live stream, you gotta listen to it outside of church, like just during the week, and you gotta be like, okay, yeah, the drums are a little hot in the live stream, and so instead of saying I need to turn them down in the house, we go to the live stream, and then we just turn them down a little bit, increment just a little bit, and see next week, oh, did that sound better?
Until we get that sweet spot.
Right.
Gotcha.
With the noise canceling headphones, I thought the guy said noise canceling headphones, you could do it live.
You can, noise canceling headphones don't cancel all the noise. That's the thing. And then second, headphones sound a lot different than an iPhone speaker or your car speaker.
Or a TV.
Or a TV.
Yeah.
Yeah. Headphones, you're gonna hear the kick drum, you're gonna hear the bass more
Right.
versus TV and your iPhone or whatever phone you got.
I have no phone.
One of these days, maybe. He's like, nope.
Get the job.
There you go.
I told him he could get one when I got one.
I started off with a flip phone. It was great.
People are going back to those.
I thought about it. I was like, ooh.
I started off with a bag phone.
I had a cord attached to the wall.
I had one that only worked in the car.
This is off topic, but did you see this video of this like Gen Z person going, you know what would be a really great idea is if you took a phone, and you just put it in a room in the house, and it was like the central phone
Yep, I
of the
saw
house.
that.
And then like the split screen is this guy going, she's talking about landline. She's talking about landline. He's like, oh my gosh. And so I'm also kind of hearing, it's also because of some of this, it's really important that we are impressing upon people to try to be here as much as possible on Wednesday.
Yeah.
Because it makes everybody's job, it sounds like to me, a lot easier.
Yeah.
You know, because then levels can get set better. Then obviously you get things happen, so you got to check things more often.
Right.
But then you're not kind of going cold at it on Sunday morning.
Well, and here's the other question, like, I mean, we've talked about even having one of us downstairs away and listening to it on live stream just to see if we could hear changes and stuff, but it's like you said, depending on what you listen to, it sounds different. So how do we like hit the sweet spot and know we're there?
Actually, let me look at something real quick.
Tell us if we have the sweet spot yet.
Well, because I mean, like visually seeing the game, that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
And like we've been talking about different perspectives, that game kind of flattens that out a little bit. A little bit. So, I mean, that's helpful. Is there something that can like visually, because, you know, you've been at our church, people have opinions. And we usually hear them.
What?
And it would be nice to, you know, to be able to talk to it a little bit.
Right. In regards to the standard, I mean, you kind of just gotta evaluate, okay, what's our audience and what are they listening to on the most. There's some compression here to kind of hopefully glue some of that together. What are they saying? I'm curious.
Well, here's the thing. I think kind of the hard determination with some of this is you're going to have some people that it could sound anyway, and they're going to go, that was so good today. And then you're going to have people who nitpick about everything. And so I think it's like it's trying to find a common ground there.
It was too loud. I can hardly
Where I think we just have to kind of decide this is where we're going, and most people then will be okay with it, because I mean that's most churches. You can listen to some of the best churches, and at times it's like, you know. So I think it's just kind of finding that common ground between I don't really care what it sounds like because I'm just happy to be worshiping today, versus you know, I'm going to complain about everything.
I think it's two different things. Obviously, you want your best sound here for the people in here live in the sanctuary. Online streaming, you just don't want it cringeworthy, where they say, this isn't worth it. We're turning it off because it's terrible, you know. And so I think there's more forgiveness on the online streaming, but you want it to sound as good as possible.
You want it to be at least a decent representation, because I agree.
Right.
Anytime you're in here versus online, because I don't ever want us to necessarily get to a point where it's just so amazing online. People are like, well, that's a better experience than being here, you know.
Well,
but I agree. I think it's something where it's good enough that if someone's like, hey, I want to check out First Baptist Oakville, and they get on like, oh, well, that's pretty good. Let's go check it out. Where if it's not a good representation of what we have in house at all, and they're like, ooh, you know.
I mean, otherwise they'll fast forward through the music, or they'll just scrap it all together and not even get to the sermon. You know, if it's something
I think that's probably
that's the thing, but otherwise that's what they'll do.
I mean, here, let's be honest. I don't have, you know, visions of grandeur or anything. If the music isn't what it needs to be, it doesn't really matter how good I am or poorly I am. I mean, if they like the music, they're going to stick around. I mean, people, that's more of a draw for people. And so, and how do people check churches out now? They go online first.
Yep.
So.
Well, what I don't understand is that if the board the house mix represents live stream, how is Johnny's vocal so much out of whack on live stream and it's not out of whack in here?
At that point, then you need to do like that pre-level adjustment on the live stream, so you can go to the live streams thing itself and turn it
I
down.
mean, is this basically
Did you
what it
listen
is now?
Yeah.
Because Jim did some of
So
that
can we
work,
look at, are we able to look
Wednesday?
at what it is at this point?
Yeah.
Okay.
and you could tell.
Oh, no, but it's still updated.
Was
Well,
it speaking or was it singing?
Singing. All right.
I don't think it was, like, I don't know that the balance was off as
Well, no, I'm just
much,
talking about in general, though.
but he sounded
I'm just talking about in
fuzzy.
general. He was saying that the house mix should be pretty much the same as the live stream mix, right?
Not necessarily the
Yeah.
same, but
He's saying that
But if you adjust here.
He said, once you get the balances where it is, then when you do something in here, it'll adjust
yeah,
if you set
incrementally
it,
on line
if you
stream.
set it correctly.
yeah, if you
Right.
set it to
But you gotta
post.
find that balance and get that first.
Right.
Because I thought at our meeting, Braden had said there's a switch that goes to live stream, and then he can make adjustments there, and then we would have to switch back. But Jonah's saying there's a faster and easier way to do that.
He was talking about the SOF.
Yeah. Yeah.
But he was just doing it for live stream, so that he could hear the live stream piece and fix it.
All right.
But what Jonah's,
What's your volume at on the phone? That sounds like clipping.
Yeah.
That's either here, or it could be at that mixer over there, or through the, there's a lot of places it could be.
okay, so that's not just a simple,
Could be.
I mean, is that a place where, like, even on the equalizer, you could pull something and
That's
balance
not
that out a little
EQ.
bit? Okay.
Um,
But do you hear what I'm saying? Like,
Oh,
there's just
yeah.
a little bit,
Yeah, I definitely hear what you're saying. But yeah, so that's where the troubleshooting comes in of, okay, where is it being overloaded? Is it too much on the board, going out? Is it, because it also goes over there to another soundboard, and then it goes into the live streaming box.
And then you got
Yeah. And so
line
that's,
control there too.
so is there a way for us to, like, set that at a certain level and get that out of the play? Because nobody messes with that on
Can you
Sunday.
eliminate it? Is there a way to eliminate it and go straight into it?
Because why would we, I don't
I
understand
feel
why
like
we
we
have to do that.
tried that one time, but something was funky.
Is that what it was?
I thought we had some buzzing
So,
or.
yeah, I think it was buzzing, yeah.
So is that just working as a ground?
I think at the moment, there was also something, we were doing something different too with that. We added something to that board.
Well, I know
we
the
could
hearing
change it
assist,
if
the
you
hearing
want.
assist goes through there. I think.
Oh, that's right. That's why we kept it.
Yeah, the hearing
But
assist.
again, it should be set at a certain place.
Yeah, nobody adjusts this.
Nobody adjusts
Yeah.
that, so then everything should be focused here.
Theoretically, yes.
Okay.
Unless this doesn't get adjusted and that gets pushed where it should be, then it's gonna push this too much, right?
Right.
This would be good, but this
Right.
is still back at the old school setting.
Yeah.
So what I'm kind of getting is we just need to make adjustments week to week
Yeah.
until we listen back to it and go.
There's a
"This
lot.
sounded good."
Yeah.
It sounds to me, this is just not, oh, we're gonna fix it today.
Right.
It's gonna take us probably 2 or 3 weeks
Mm-hmm.
to make it small adjustments and really get it to where it needs to be.
Yeah.
Right
Troubleshooting.
now, what we're just talking in here, we have the peak light is flashing.
On there,
Yeah.
what's that volume set at?
Well, I mean, it's like 50%.
50%?
Yeah, but just doing this, I get the peak light. The gain is right in the middle, so maybe if I turn the gain down, would that?
Yeah, I would turn the gain down on there.
Assisted listening, Tony, that's all.
Turn the gain down here?
That's assisted
Yeah.
listening.
Oh, yeah, it's-
Box, that affect anything else.
Okay, yeah, now the peak light's not coming. Well, it is if I really bang it. Like, I can see the peak light coming out.
But, okay, so and here's another dumb question, I'm out of the waters. Assisted listening
This was up here.
is getting the same as live stream
yeah,
gets.
that's too much, yeah.
No, I think it's getting something to the board.
Yeah.
So I think if you put the headphones on, is that kind of what they're getting?
But it's
So
still
then why do we have that thing again?
Why do we have what thing again?
That thing.
It's for the assisted listening.
I can
I think you have to have it for
It
this.
broadcasts, it takes the signal and broadcasts it an antenna back to the unit.
I got it, okay.
This is a test, this is only a test. Can you hear me? Am I peaking over there?
Wireless transmitter.
Can you see anything?
Yeah, I was peeking a little bit.
Oh, really? Okay.
Hey.
Yeah, hello.
None of us talk.
Good morning, Oakville.
No peeking.
Good morning, Oakville. Here you go, get a couple of them in there. Check, 1, 2, check, check. Hello?
Say Ricky.
We don't get a whole
Check,
lot
1, 2.
clapping in here.
Yeah. Off.
That's because we're Baptist, we have no rhythm.
So, the assistant veteran has its own bus and mix.
He takes everything off the board. He puts it on the board, goes over the two.
Need any more sound over
Basically,
there?
that's the volume level.
Check, 1, 2. Hello? Good morning, Oakville.
No, there's no adjustment.
Say Ricky.
Hello, you here to say something?
Ricky.
Takes wherever the board
Hey,
sees.
check, 1, 2. Check.
Reese's Puffs. Reese's Puffs. Eat 'em up, eat 'em up, eat 'em up, eat 'em up.
Check,
They're
1, 2.
Reese's Puffs. Reese's
Hello.
Puffs. Eat 'em up, eat 'em up, eat 'em up, eat 'em up.
Hello,
Reese's
check,
Puffs
1,
in
2.
my bowl.
You still got peeking over there? Hello, clapping.
Got Reese's Puffs in my bowl.
Good to see everybody.
Check, 1, 2.
Happy birthday to me.
The headphone control,
All right.
but they could have been moved the wrong one.
Yeah, so.
On the box where the camera is, so is that volume's for the headphones though,
There's
right?
one, there's one,
Even all the way
Ethan, don't
down.
mess with stuff right now, please.
Maybe we need to look at
It's
that.
if it's too low, if it's
no,
off, and it was
so
off, then you get nothing.
Yeah?
On,
ducts
if
the
it's too
sound,
high,
so it's negative
you get too
20
much.
decibels.
It's a master volume.
So it ducts it by
Hello.
26
Okay,
decibels.
so we need, that's another
Sometimes
one.
it gets moved, and I'm probably by accident, because the headphone jack is right next to it. The headphone volume is right there, and it's right here. If you're not careful, what you're touching,
still wanna
you
see
move the wrong
this.
one.
Well, that's something we definitely need to tell Blake to be careful of.
Who all is using our in-ear?
Right now, it's strictly Bob,
Yeah.
strictly Bob. Yeah. I think occasionally Larry's used it, and occasionally,
Yeah, yep.
the
You can
other
still see
gentleman's
it
used
now,
it,
like.
but maybe it's Bob.
I just barely had that when you were
Use it almost every Sunday. More people could.
Yeah.
So we need to get some.
Well, I've tried to get Margie
Yeah.
to use it, but she got new hearing aids and she said it helps. So,
I mean, you don't think
You can use it with the hearing aid, because
Oh, okay.
this thing don't go in the ear. It goes
well, that's what I
out.
told
It
her.
goes over the ear.
Should be a.
So Bobby has hearing aid, he
Maybe I
uses
should
it
take a
fine.
picture of it, right?
Yeah.
I don't argue with her. She's almost 102.
This is arguing, it's just available. Well, I got
What you
8
thinking?
of them, I'm only,
He just wanted to play.
got 4 plugged in back there.
It's a little
I
playground.
got 4 of them. Yeah.
All right, what's next?
Questions about live streaming? Any of that?
Hello.
You have,
I just like that idea better. I think that's gonna be easier for us to,
oh, it's not in the mains.
Yeah, I agree.
Oh,
than what I was thinking.
What did I
from the
do?
meeting.
Yeah, I think making those adjustments, we're gonna see a huge
Oh, yeah, it's in,
difference.
Yeah.
yeah, it's in there.
Hello.
Just the EQ's a little funky.
Hello. Hello. Ooh.
Jonah, do we do a gain check for live stream?
No, I mean,
So the gain is just,
Ethan, stop. Ethan.
because it affects everything.
right.
So it's,
I mean, the person at the live streaming station should check the audio levels during rehearsal, just to make sure that they're still high enough, but they're not too low or too loud.
Let me ask you a question. If you were setting this up back here,
No.
do you think that should be next to the board? It doesn't matter?
No, it doesn't matter.
Okay.
it's not like we don't talk to each other.
Well, I know everybody hears you when you talk to each
That's
other.
not true. That's the
I mean,
people out in the hallway.
it depends who's doing double duty. So like if I'm trying to do slides, but I also need to do sound at the same time, it's easier to have them next to each other.
Yeah, this does work better if you have to do both of these.
Right.
Yeah, because you just turn the
'Cause
monitor and
typically
it's a
the-
remote mouse.
Typically,
so-
the live streaming person's pretty involved with their job.
There should be.
Our person is not super
Oh.
involved with their job.
Well, dang, mic drop. Don't actually drop a mic. Yeah.
Another question concerning online streaming. Should we really wait till Monday to hear it? Or should there be someone monitoring it live time and saying, hey, this is a wreck this week. Something needs to be fixed. because I don't think your mixer guy in-house should be monitoring the online streaming at the same time he's trying to do mixing in here. How should that be addressed to?
Definitely some way to
Stuff.
communicate, that's for sure.
I think Wednesday is maybe one place whenever, if we have somebody who's not able to be at practice, maybe they can tune in for a little bit to listen to a sound check. But
Now
that's,
you're just having too much.
that is part of it is, because I don't think we really know or fully understand how what we do there is affecting live stream. But I think we can learn some things from it. Do you know what I mean?
Oh,
So, two things. If you have someone monitoring the live stream and then trying to tell the sound person this needs to change
Yeah, that's
during
the-
service,
That's the communication.
oh yes, but that's also a lot of extra processing that has to go through the sound person's brain if they're not used to it.
See, that's why when we used to have a separate sound mix, you know.
Right.
I was back there mixing
Right.
the live stream audio.
Yeah, we've gone through different phases of live stream, for sure.
Yeah.
Right, yeah. And some people are good at mixing a live stream back there. They can focus on cameras, they can do sound. And then there's some people that you're like, just do one job. If you really wanted to get fancy, there's an app. There's an app for everything that you could literally have in front of you and mix the live stream, independent of the sound person.
Oh, is that the Q?
Yeah.
Q
Wait, what is this?
It's called Q something.
There's an iPhone app or I think this one works.
Just say it,
iPad.
Android. Android.
Or
The
Android.
better option.
Jeez. It's called Wing-Q,
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, I've got that.
or for iPad, Wing Copilot.
Yeah, Copilot.
Yeah, and Android is Wing-Q.
Now, what does that do?
Move control.
That's what you
No.
don't want. That's a good lesson for you.
No count.
So it's a remote control for live stream?
For everything.
So the iPad app, you can control the house mix, you can control anything on this board.
Zane, just get,
I was gonna say, that's a really bad idea.
On the iPhone app, I
Depending on
believe,
who you give it to.
Yeah,
or
okay.
on
no.
the mobile app, I believe you can only control the mixes, the mix buses. So like the monitor and the live stream, but you can't control the house. And then you select which one you're on.
Yeah, but it still wouldn't help because if we're here, we can't listen to what live stream is like.
Exactly.
So,
That's only if you have someone monitoring it or
Well,
listening.
on the iPad or tablet, whatever, if you have a headphone off of that, would you be able to hear just
No.
on there? You can't.
No, there's not audio over Wi-Fi.
Now, somebody can be downstairs watching a TV and
Yeah.
have the app, and they can adjust the live stream from the app at a separate location.
Even if this person has those headphones, I mean, it's something, it's better than nothing if you,
Yeah.
but,
I could have done that last week, I'm thinking about that.
I remember when we were in Cincy, the person running the cameras, at least had a monitor so they could see what was happening and, like, because, sometimes people would be like, hey, the sound is off. They'd be commenting that, or
Oh, yeah.
there's no sound, or
Right.
whatever.
Ooh, that's
And so they
the
could
worst.
at least
Yeah.
make those quick adjustments.
right. Yeah.
So,
yeah,
I
we
have
used to
another
have
thing
Facebook
about
and YouTube greeters,
when we were
but
down
that
there.
kind of went by the wayside.
I have something else. I was in the sound booth with them. Jonah had all the slides on like a time, so that he didn't even have to press the button. It changed as soon as they started singing the next
and you
slide.
know what?
I don't
It
remember.
was, it wasn't you. This was in Cincinnati.
Oh.
Guess what? He was off. So, that's why we don't do that.
Oh,
This was this, we were in Cincinnati. this
I know
last
what he was doing.
Yeah.
It's something called snippets or scenes or
Yeah.
cues.
Yeah.
Those are really fun.
And,
Yeah, you can set the slides to a timer. But
and I know Jonah really well, and that's because he's lazy.
I'm glad he knows that, Jonah.
I had that Jonah in youth. So,
There you go.
yeah, you can do all sorts of things like that, but there was a point in the sermon. It's like, when's that first point gonna go up? Oh, we're on the second point. There it is. Okay. Yeah, so, yeah, that's why we don't do that.
That never happens here,
Ever.
especially when you go off script.
Script.
I'm sorry, all right? I do
Or
my
the
best.
one where you had like 130 verses that had nothing to do with the sermon, and we were like panicked back and trying to find
No, what happened, there was, somehow, it was never happened to me, when I loaded them into Proclaim, instead of, when I did it, it was okay, I don't know what happened, but all of a sudden, it pulled up like the whole chapter.
Or one time it was one line per slide.
Well,
It was one.
It's still like that.
Oh, it is?
Yeah, it'll do a verse per slide. It's preset that way.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
But it was just funny, 'cause what the, it was the first time I hadn't been back there.
Well, I'm sitting there, and I don't usually do this, but I had a quote I was gonna use, and I was just gonna read it off the back screen, and I'm sitting there like, get that slide changed.
And it was a mile down, right?
Yeah,
Was
oh, it took us forever to find it. I'm like, what is this?
So I think probably with some of that online, like, monitoring, we'll just need to troubleshoot some stuff
Yeah.
there.
I mean, option one is to have someone downstairs and
This
if
Sunday, I
something
could
is
try doing that.
glaringly
I watch TV
screaming.
downstairs and adjust it on an app, just to see if I can do anything.
I try to monitor my phone, but it doesn't always work out.
Yeah.
I watch it on TV and control the app.
I'm
see
listening
if
to
I can
sound most of
change
it, but it, I have trouble with the network freezing up.
Yeah, that's another thing.
So by
Well-
the way, as long as we can get it switched, fiber is live. We just have to get things
Might
redone,
help.
We have move cable,
so.
or run one
Whoop,
cable.
whoop.
We ran one cable, it would be
Okay.
We haven't had that luxury before.
So, anyway.
And that will not affect what's going on in-house.
well, it'd be faster. And once that goes live, yeah, it'd be.
No, I'm talking about you messing with stuff downstairs. That's not gonna
Oh, I'm
affect
just watching
anything
TV.
in-house. Okay,
No, it's just the live stream mix.
that's fine.
Yeah, no.
Well, because
You
Braden's not
can't
here.
control, you can't control the house mix on that app.
Okay.
Right.
I just don't want, because right now in Braden's mind, I'm sure he's switching over to listen. And I don't want him to do that if you're gonna be messing with it, because you guys are gonna fight with each other.
Well,
Do you know what I
no,
mean? Like, we
I don't
just
think
need to
he doesn't
communicate.
adjust on the fly, I don't think much.
From our meeting, I don't know what happened last week because I wasn't here, but that's one of the things that he committed to doing was being able to hit whatever button so that he could listen to live stream and try and.
But it's hard to
work
do
on it.
unless you have at least noise canceling.
I
headphones, 'cause
understand, and
you
I'm
can't
looking for
tell
my
what's going
beats.
on,
I cleaned the office,
You
I'll
ready to
find
have
them
some more
eventually.
fun?
All right. Are we getting close to being done, or is there something else we need to do, or?
I think, what else you got for us?
I mean, at least one thing, maybe two things.
Ethan?
Here, now we're gonna, there's something called DCA. It stands for Digital Control Adjustment. And so, this is a nice way to group channels together, but there's no processing, there's no EQ, it's just volume, it's just the fader. So like, all the percussion are on this one fader, and so I can turn it up or down based on, and it adjusts the group as a whole.
Yeah.
Same with the guitars, the keyboard. There's one for the whole band, one for the vocals. That one's empty.
Blank, yeah.
And then at the end, we have vocal reverb and vocal delay, which you're not using delay, but just know about these. These you want to keep around 0. And then you can adjust them throughout service as much as you need it. And then over near the aux ends are the effects, what we call effects returns, where the effects come back into the board, into the mix. And so like here's the reverb, the band reverb. So just make sure these aren't muted. You can keep delay muted if you want to use delay, you can, but you don't usually adjust these. You usually come over here and control it here. Do you understand that good?
Yeah, Braden's done that.
Cool.
Because the reverb you do while they're playing music and then you shut it off when they're talking, right?
Right. Maybe. Keep going.
Reese's Puffs, Reese's Puffs. Beat 'em up, beat 'em up, beat 'em up, beat 'em up, cause they're Reese's.
Well, you got more volume than that.
Beat 'em up, beat 'em up, beat 'em up, beat 'em up, got Reese's Puffs in
That's
my
why.
bowl.
So those are muted. That's why the reverb wasn't there. These buses were muted. Keep going.
Whee!
Sing Peaches.
Peaches, 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 peaches. No, you should play the Jesus.
Do the
version.
cheeseburger bundle thing. Do you remember when you guys first got here, that's what you're doing all the time? Cheeseburger.
Cheeseburger, Big Mac, Whopper.
Hamburger, cheeseburger, Big Mac, Whopper. Hamburger, cheeseburger, Big Mac, Whopper. Hamburger, cheeseburger, Big Mac.
Steve sang that for like 6 months afterwards.
I'm glad you pulled that one out of them.
So that's, John was asking about reverb, which he just vanished.
Is reverb important?
For vocals, it will make things sound a little nicer.
What about instruments?
Yeah, on certain instruments like keyboards, guitars.
Stop it? Yeah.
Gives it a fuller sound?
Yeah,
Oh, it
yeah.
We just have it.
And you want a little bit of that in the live stream.
Don't use it for the instruments.
As well as this crowd mic, you want that in the live stream as well. That will give it more.
So what should the reverb levels be set at then?
So we go to aux in?
On the other one.
Okay.
That's where that comes back into the board. So on the end of if you go to bus.
So if we're playing with it over here and we don't want the reverb, like Johnny's done with the song, we're gonna mute that.
Yep, mute it or pull it down.
Okay.
Yep.
And then you just moved me, bud.
Go back to DCA, please. Thank you.
Okay.
Yep. So the DCA is theoretically where you want to adjust all that
Okay.
instead of trying to hunt and find, because there's like 4 different channels that say reverb. It's just they're going into each other to create a chain.
So when you set the reverb then, is it setting it for everything then?
Um,
Because you said it's best for vocals.
right. So like when it says vocal reverb, only those vocal channels are going in there.
Oh, okay.
You remember how we mix monitors? There's at the end of the bus list, there's a vocal reverb. It's the same thing. You push them up. If somebody's too high in the reverb and you want less of them, individually you can just take that one channel down a little bit, like you're mixing a monitor. But theoretically, if you're doing gain correctly and all that, you can just set them the same and they'll have equal reverb on them.
Okay.
And that will help clean up some dry ugliness.
Okay.
All right. What else you got for us?
Do you have any other questions? I think that was just about it.
I have one thing I would like for you to look at. We haven't played this song in a while, but there's a couple of songs where the bass drum is a significant portion of the song, and we don't have a bass drum from the sounds of it. So I didn't know if there's a way maybe with the equalizer to help with the drums.
Sure.
I don't care about the cymbals as much. They're
Right.
high and they come through.
Yeah.
But you don't ever get the low tones in the drums.
Yeah.
What you get is a
You want me
mallet.
to go up there and like?
Were you gonna
Yeah.
go through like
Go
some
rock
instructions
out.
and stuff?
We can.
I think we should.
Yeah.
I'll just hit the bass drum to see.
Yeah. John, you missed the reverb.
Missed the reverb. You gotta be kidding.
Yeah, I fixed it, by the way.
What?
I fixed it.
You fixed it?
Yeah.
It was muted in the channels.
It was, in the bus,
It was muted.
in the buses at the end, it was just muted here. So that's why you weren't getting any reverb.
Okay.
See, that is awful.
Oh, goodness. Hey, come here. You want to know why you
Awful.
don't have any low tones? Because they're completely cut.
Yeah.
Wow.
So there's,
Is that something that just came across it, or it was Had to be pushed.
Who knows?
Play a groove. Nope. Play a groove like you're, yeah. Like, a little bit better.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Yeah, so.
That's what a drum sounds like. Yeah, yeah.
So, there's something called a low cut, which literally cuts all the lows.
Hi.
And
By the way, the song you're talking about is the 10,000 Reasons.
Yes. And I hate it because it sounds so bad. It's like punk, punk,
Yeah.
punk.
Same with high cut. There's, yeah.
Yeah, okay.
So, it was an EQ issue.
Now see, okay, I hear like some kind of an echo
It's reverb.
whenever he's, is that what that is? Okay. No, I still hear it.
Then that's natural to the sample or what.
Okay.
They might have some reverb on
The
them.
end thing has like
I don't think that's the echo I hear, baby, but I love it. Do you hear how that, it's that one.
What did you do?
Actually turned on the low notes. And then the low cut button was
Low cut
off.
was on. Probably my fault. I probably put it on. Because they're making noise one time.
There's so much.
They're making noise one time. I cut a lot of those off.
Yeah.
chimichangas, enchiladas,
And some of the highs too.
tortillas.
That's too loud. You can't make that loud.
What's our next?
Put the mic down. It's the last
Hey,
one I'm gonna have.
Ethan, we're on drums right now. Do the game.
What's our reading?
Up
Play
and
the
down.
snare.
That's with the game. Watch it.
Where's our slider at?
Yeah, turn the slider down. Although that'll make us cry.
No, stop making that.
So what we'll do is we'll set that gain and it won't be so bad. Because with the other instruments, you don't hear that. You feel it more than you hear it. You know what I mean?
Setting the gain and it's not even working.
Well, it's because he doesn't have the right thing soloed. He can see it here,
Right.
but
But I mean, it's still not on.
it's yellow. You can see the yellow
Sweeter?
on this one right here.
Right.
It's hitting yellow.
I still think that. Is that just the reverb? Is the reverb back?
Yeah, I can
for it?
completely turn it off, and
No, I was just.
there's a little ring. You want a little ring, but
Yeah, it's fine.
yeah, there's a little rim. It's not a loud rim. So yeah, it was just a low cut.
Okay.
That shouldn't have been on. The only things you really want to low cut are vocals, because nobody sings down really low. Sometimes guitars you want to low cut.
ADM's not hooked up, right? And I'm wondering why I'm not hearing myself.
Correct, yeah.
No functional.
He's trying to
no
do something he
function.
can't do.
So, okay, if we were.
Sure.
Okay.
So if we were doing this, if I wanted to set the game while he's playing, I'm taking that off, and then I'm messing with this here.
Yep. And then always make sure you're selected on the right channel too, because
I like
Yeah.
you start adjusting a gain. And you're
Why
like,
isn't this
why isn't it
fixing?"
right? He's not playing hard. He's trying to rim shot.
Tony, well, I turned it down. Can you? I was just gonna try and
Give
mess
it a
with the
good
game.
go.
Come on, have a flashback to the old days.
No, play big.
A little Petra.
Well, here's a song we used to do.
Okay, is it not? I'm on drums. It's selected. There we go. Okay.
This one you gotta turn up a little bit more.
Yeah, apparently so. There we go.
Yeah, that's. Go cancel.
Now, what did you just do there?
So when you compress something, it takes the dynamic range and squishes it a little bit.
So you were just opening it up?
Yeah, when you do that, you usually want to add what we call makeup gain so that it pushes it back up. Because if I add a ton of compression, you'll be pushing the fader up for forever.
Okay. Okay, so that's not a bad check level.
No, that's good.
Okay. Okay. And then I want that off so the light stops flashing. I'm blind. I'm not slow. I'm blind.
Go ahead. Is it loading or something?
What?
Go ahead.
Do a keyboard now?
Sure.
You don't have keyboard selected though, do you?
No.
And you want to, if we were doing this, we'd want to turn it down?
Theoretically, yeah.
Well, you're going to start doing it different, Jonah.
know.
That's what my head said. I'm not watching.
What's your volume at on the keyboard?
Right at 50,
Can you give me 80 and turn down your personal monitor speaker real quick?
it's not on, that was the monitor.
Oh, okay. Oh, that's right. Well, then I'll do that.
You want it at 80?
Why do they have
Yep.
two bridges?
Maybe it's
Turn them all the way off.
Hey, Jonah,
Yeah.
is the reason you have it on 80 is because so the guys doing the instruments can't crank it?
That, and I'll get better signal integrity out of their electronics
Oh, okay.
without having them to crank it all the way
Oh,
and
okay.
possibly distort any electronics.
And this is just the top keyboard, I'll do the organ later.
Good. Working.
Anything else you want to hit?
Okay, I got a different question for him.
anything else you want to do?
I don't know if you want to get my mic.
Sure.
Testing, 1, 2, 3.
You gotta sing something.
Soon, we are going to see the King. Soon,
You can play if you want. It doesn't matter.
we are going to see the King. Hallelujah. Soon and very soon, we are going to see the King. Hallelujah, hallelujah. We're going to see the King. Voices rise like incense, let them be as sweet perfume. Our praises, the temple, our praise ringing ever. Holy, holy is the Lord Almighty. Holy, holy is the Lord our God. Voices fill
Dad, I know the water you drink on Sunday. Sam's purified drinking water. You drink Sam's purified drinking water.
Holy, holy is the Lord Almighty. Holy, holy is the Lord Almighty.
When it's got the spacing right, I think somebody came.
Yeah, I got it.
No, yeah, like whenever.
There's something, it feels like it's,
It always
Yeah.
puts the
right,
space
it's weighing up right on feedback.
and you have to take it away.
You get it when you want to save it in your,
Okay.
yours. Yeah, that's Sunday user.
Yeah. 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 But see, if somebody's like usually
Well, you
it
can
doesn't
talk
give
a
me the
little
full
bit.
title. It gives me a blank screen.
Good afternoon,
Title.
everyone. Glad that you can make the seminar session that Jonah's conducting excellently. So how are you all doing this afternoon?
Right from now.
Testing, 1, 2, 3. This is a talking check. 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 How about those Cardinals?
Oh, don't even get me started.
Applewish. So, all I know is good teams don't lose a 5-0 lead
To the Pirates.
like they did to the Pirates here. That's the other thing.
Now you can stop talking.
Okay.
And that's a meet.
Oh, goodness.
All right. We need to wait for Jim to come back, though. We need to cover sound jokes.
Oh, okay.
Like, bad.
Jonah, thank you for this. It's been really.
You're welcome. I'm happy to do it.
It's been really helpful.
When Jim gets back, he's gonna cover sound checks.
Did you go over how to do a sound check?
Once Jim gets back, we're gonna do
I
it.
thought that's what we did at the beginning. We checked the game.
Pretty much. I mean, but I have learned how to be very specific with people to demand what I want.
that-
And I still don't get it.
And who
Trust me,
who
brother, I
should be
understand
conducting, how it should
That
be
also-
conducted from the board?
That will be a good question.
Like, I think something beneficial is to look at it like, okay, it's Sunday morning, we're getting ready to go, here's what we should
Wide
be doing.
screen.
If someone was not here that should have been, that runs the board, should they not be running it tomorrow morning?
Uh-oh.
Just a question.
Blame Jonah. He's messing with the board.
You don't hear anything?
Yeah.
What?
Because your headphones not turned up.
I didn't change
No, his
nothing.
headphones weren't
Don't blame me.
Just teasing. This. I can't stand
All
this.
controls
I
in there.
want
This
this.
controls the volume, like, you wanna watch that level up there?
How do you like proclaim?
I like it. Are you saying that in jest?
No,
The superior profane.
that's what we use at Hazelwood House.
You use Proclaim?
Yeah.
How do you
I wasn't a
like
fan at first, but I'm like, okay, they've made a lot of updates.
Mm-hmm.
So
I
one
just
of
like
the
it because I
things,
can directly import my sermon slides. So.
Which it's funny, we don't have pastors that do that. We had a transitional pastor, he didn't have any sermon slides,
Wow.
no points, no nothing. He just,
Wow.
it was like, oh, okay.
so one of the things that we were talking about is like, we have slides in the pre-service loop, and Josh is wanting it up for 15 minutes, so like you have your Spotify playlist. But when we put stuff like that out there, we get slapped
Yeah.
on the online.
I found
Is
some
there-
music to play.
Have you?
Yeah, you just get
non-copyright,
royalty
yeah,
free.
royalty free.
Do you know? Do you
non-copyright.
use
I've got-
Proclaim's streaming service?
Okay,
No.
let
I've
me
been
show you.
thinking about it. I've never
Okay,
used
so-
it.
We use Vimeo.
Let's see.
We used to use Proclaim's website builder, but they just got rid of that.
Yeah.
I was like,
To insert the music or,
Yeah, I just
no,
wanted
I've
to put
never used
something
the
in
live stream
there
or
real
recording
quick.
functions.
I've been thinking about it just because of all the
So
Yeah.
this isn't the right
hand slapping
one.
that's going
How
on.
do you feel your online streaming is at your church? Is it
I'm just gonna throw some
as good
things
as
in
it
there and
can
I'll
be, you
take them
think,
off.
or
Well, consider,
Okay. So then,
Yeah,
yeah,
I mean-
once you start that,
is it a similar
And
system
this is
here?
where
Is
you're
it
gonna hit.
higher, much higher graded, or
I follow.
or you have a better system?
I've got something in there now.
I wouldn't say it's better, but I wouldn't say it's worse. It's just very different.
let's see.
So instead of having a physical switcher like you all do, we do all our switching through a computer,
Well, and that's the tricky part too.
but we don't have multiple
Hey,
camera
Josh,
angles.
can you
We just
turn
have
the
one
computer up?
camera.
Oh, okay.
On the board?
Turn the computer up,
Oh, it won't,
because you don't have the input.
Yeah. There's
Oh.
no physical input going from,
Never mind then.
No, I won't.
Oh, wait, how about headphones?
That's only 16 minutes. Is that what you did?
but, yeah, so we don't have multiple camera
How
angles.
much energy on it? I can check that.
We just have one camera.
But mainly like your music, so, or
Oh,
do you
Well, you
get a
should be able to
better
hear it there,
balance
wouldn't you?
on that?
when we actually listen to it and make adjustments, I've been really bad. I'm not in the habit of listening to it and going back over and being like, oh, how could we fix this?
Continue and repeat.
We have a barn of a room where there's reflections everywhere, and so we're just worried about getting it well enough in the house, because we only have maybe 20 people a week watch our live stream, which isn't
Yeah.
usually less than that even. So our focus is more on
I'll
congregationalism.
bet Steve has some stuff we can add.
And that's where we typically are as well. And that's really why it's one of those things where it's like, let's get it to be good enough.
Yeah.
And then it's more of encouragement, hey, be here when you're able. It's good for our shut-ins and,
Right.
and people like that, but. All right, hey guys, why don't we let Jonah finish doing what he's gonna do here?
Josh asked that I go over how to do an official sound check. Luckily, we're close quarters. My first thing is establishing communication with the stage. So usually turning up somebody's mic and checking that first, like the worship leader, someone who I can talk to and who we're not shouting in the room together, but that's usually bigger venues that I'm worried about that. You also have to determine who is running sound check. So is it the sound person that they're gonna be all, I'm gonna tell you exactly, or is it gonna be kind of a tandem where it's the worship leader just looking at the sound person, and when the sound person's ready and good with every channel, they kind of give the cue to the worship leader and they go on. But yeah, so I usually start with drums and percussion and going gain, and once I got the gain, if somebody needs it in a monitor, doing that, and then any EQ, but I don't want to take too long because we don't need to spend an hour on sound check. And then it's to the next channel. It's gain, monitors, EQ, gain, and then keep going.
So you do that for every
Yep.
channel?
If you don't have a lot of time, gain is the most important thing, and monitors second. And then you can adjust EQ at while they're rehearsing. Yeah, I go down the instrument line, drums, bass, then guitars, keyboards, background vocals last, and then.
So you start with like low end sound, is that what you can, or is it?
Yeah, just usually how I lay out the board, or like I'll look at the stage and who's ready to sound check.
Oh, okay. So-
Like especially on like Wednesday nights or Sunday mornings, you don't have to wait to start an official sound check all the time. If they're up there and they're playing around, just, hey, while you're playing around, let's check this.
Yeah.
So that rehearsal can start on
That's
time.
why,
So,
not everyone shows up at the same time, so
Exactly.
that'd be very good.
And most people are fiddling around and,
When you check monitors, you're checking that they can hear themselves in the monitor?
if they request it. If I don't have to put it in a monitor, I'm not putting it in a monitor.
Okay, so really like Sunday morning, we're going through and doing gain as far as the sound check goes?
Yeah.
Unless somebody asks to
Well-
be heard in the monitor.
You have people that have Avion, they don't need monitors. But you have your 3 people that line up across the middle, they have no Avion. All they can hear, and the only way they can hear themselves and anyone else is through the floor monitors. Blake, Tim.
No,
and
I
that.
know
But
what
mean,
you're
that-
talking about. I'm just saying, like, so we want to make sure they can hear themselves in the monitor? Like, when you say you're checking monitors, what are you checking?
I'm adjusting based on what they ask for. Like I said, if I don't have to put it in, then I don't. But if they say, can I get more of myself?
Okay.
Usually I also will say, if you want more of this instrument as we're sound checking, I need a finger straight up in the air to tell me
Maybe-
I want more.
Be careful with that.
Well, yes. A pointer finger. Pointer
Yeah, the
finger.
index.
Just a little bit is my thinking.
Or a thumb.
Well, see, here's the thing. Thumbs up.
Well, that's
can
what I
mean
mean,
Two
yeah.
different things. Can mean louder or I'm good.
Yeah.
So I distinguish with one finger, pointer finger in the air for higher, a thumb down for lower, and then the okay signal
Yeah.
for, like,
And
those are
don't
very,
do this.
Don't do what?
Especially on Wednesday.
they're just worshiping. They're just worshiping.
You get a little straighter.
So yeah, like a lot of times, hopefully they don't need drums. They can literally hear the click of the,
Yeah.
um,
And yeah, it seems like if we've got it pretty consistent
Yeah.
moving ahead, that should take very little time.
right. When doing monitors, it's best if the monitors are as close to those people as possible. The further away the monitor is, the more you just have to turn it up. The more you increase the stage volume,
Right.
the less mains you get.
So with like our floor monitors,
Right.
would it be better to push them back?
Yeah, if it's like just Blake and then using them on that step, yeah.
Because like Ernie has an Avion, Johnny has an Avion,
Right.
right? I mean,
Right.
theoretically.
Yeah, 'cause they're too far away.
So,
And if you look at the angle right now of those monitors,
Uh-huh.
it's going over their heads,
Yeah,
so
it's
they're
actually
not.
hitting the ceiling.
Yeah, they're not even hearing it.
okay.
They're hearing reflections.
Would one slid in front of the piano turn sideways or 45 toward the back, would that work?
I mean, it
Taking
will,
this one
but
and put it,
get it as close as you can. Put it right at their feet. If they're next to each other, put it in between them.
okay.
Right at their feet. There's tons of cable. I think there's a good enough.
Oh, yeah, I mean,
You-
or we could run it off the back box behind the piano
Yeah.
because I think you probably don't want it running across the middle of the stage or the people.
It's not ideal, but just tape
Yeah.
it down or put it in a spot that you know people won't trip
Well,
over
the
it.
cable now runs all the way around to where it is
Right.
up front, so you can just reroute it to the back.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then you just do that for every channel. And again, you all don't have a lot of turnaround, so theoretically it should take probably 5-10 minutes,
Yeah.
maybe even less, to just check the
As long as you
gain,
save the snapshot, and
Yeah.
you get it right.
check the gain.
Yeah.
It
Make sure you save it.
sounds okay in the house, cool.
Now, do you save the snapshot for all of the one, like whether the dulcimer's here or not, and then you just pull the fader down, and then when he's here, you have it sort of semi-adjusted, and you just run the slider up on it?
Yeah, so like,
The people that are
same
gonna be
snapshot,
reviewing-
if he's not here, mute and down.
Right.
And then, so once sound checks have taken place and the sliders are where they need to be
Yeah.
muted, right?
And not pull the sliders down for people?
It depends, like if it's another instrument, you don't really have to pull it down or mute it. You can most likely just leave it there.
But you're not messing with
You
the
might,
slider.
yeah, you might, if anything, you just mute it, but
The mics are usually the problem.
the mics are the
Yeah.
worst.
So more or
problem.
less,
That's why
probably
you
mute the
people
mics.
talk about
but-
Yeah.
DVDs and stuff.
Yeah, as I'm sound checking, but if you're doing it fast enough, they won't have time to.
Because we sometimes have had problems where we start the service and the sliders aren't up.
Yeah.
And we're 30 seconds in and we're not getting sound
And so
online.
that's another thing is, it pays to kind of know where roughly they should be going. So like if I'm looking at my vocal channels, oh, Johnny's mic is around here. So if I pull him down, I know, oh, he's going to be around there.
Oh, so it would be good to have a list almost.
A
To maybe
list,
just have
but-
back here to,
That or just pay
or just pay
attention.
attention.
Well, I've seen some people put tape and put a
Well,
line.
the reason we
over
put
it.
lists on there is just
Yeah.
because there's so many of us who rotate through,
Yeah.
but I know what you're
Just
saying.
look at it, especially like checking computer stuff, computer volumes.
Yeah.
You check it before service, you look, where's the slider at a good volume,
I mean, how are these?
negative
labeled?
10-ish or something.
I mean, when we're
wherever
on
it's
a
at.
typical,
And you just make a note of that.
you know, here's
on
our
paper
vocals,
or
instruments.
mentally, because every video is
And it's basically the same, right?
What's happened lately though is we've had to put Jared on a mic,
Oh, I see.
so I'm labeling that. He was over here on one of these.
Okay,
Dulcimer's labeled,
I see that.
and
We could change.
Steve is labeled.
It's right here.
Yeah, Steve.
Okay.
Hey, Tom,
And
when things are done.
Tim's here. I think he's back
The songs you imported
in
versus
19.
what we're gonna do.
Okay.
So
I
I
have
just
him
wanna make
labeled,
sure
but I think
I'm
that's where he, and when Ernie's here, he plays here,
Okay.
usually.
All right. And one thing too is we're kind of in the process. It's somewhat new, but we're probably going to be implementing more videos. I mean, we obviously should be sound checking those too, right?
Yeah, always check them before service.
Yeah.
I'll bet this is dead.
Yeah.
And there's no reason to turn the slider down after you check it, right? I mean, just leave it right where it is? Once
You
check it?
can mute it as long as you know there's no sounds coming from your computer.
Oh, okay, like, yeah, the click
Yeah.
sounds and all that weird stuff.
But if we mute it, that shouldn't be an issue, right?
Right, then it's just unmuting it.
Okay.
The other thing is thinking ahead. So like if you're in the song
Yeah.
and you know the video's coming next, the sound person needs to go find the computer channel during a song. And be ready, just know that this video's coming next. So yeah, that's
Yeah, because there could be miscellaneous sounds coming from the
Right.
computer.
right. You never know when you're gonna get a chime or
Yeah.
I might add to the.
right.
Try.
There's a triangle up there. Tony's got a triangle.
You've got mail.
Needs more cowbell.
And then just during music, just don't sit back while everything's going on. Like be an active mixer. There's always something to adjust. Small or a vocal's
So
too
it's not set
loud.
it and forget it.
Yeah, that's only in emergencies.
Trying to put what
When you're doing a sound check on the video, should you have your decibel reader and that's how you set the volume for a video? Or do you just do it off your ears, or
I
what do
would
you
use
do?
your ears. Decibel meter doesn't tell me much. Just by how, it just tells me how loud it is, but
Is there something?
Well, I mean, is there a thing that you're wanting to shoot at, so if people aren't
Oh.
straining to hear it and if all people's hearing is not the same, even the board people, and, I mean, how do you get where that place, you want them to be kind of wowed by the video and take note of it? And
Hit
don't
that
have-
happy medium almost.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is there a certain decibel reading or anything like that we could go by? I mean,
I wouldn't say there's a certain decibel reading. It depends on the video. Some videos have a lot of low end and impact stuff that turning it higher makes it work. But there's some videos that are more intimate that you don't necessarily want to be too loud.
Okay.
For me, it's just using your
What about
ears.
in general though, like a mix?
In general?
Yeah, how loud should it be in-house music?
Do you have a decimal meter?
We did.
It depends.
Do these ones on the amp, do they work?
They work close enough. They're about, good. I have the same one at church. Good. They're not necessarily calibrated, but they're close, within 3 to 5 decibels most of the time.
Oh, okay, well, that's good.
At Hazelwood, our goal is we peak at 90. So the very loudest of the service is 90 decibels. Most of the time, we're averaging around 80 to 85.
Pretty close to
Okay.
Yeah, it's a decent loudness without.
And I mean, maybe some of it is just, we play around with it and just see what kind of feedback we
Yeah.
get. I mean, you
Well,
know,
with these concrete walls, they can't be helping that.
Well,
It's pretty loud.
at least the banners help a little bit.
You
The banners and the
do you
pews.
recommend getting more of these sound baffles for like the rest of the walls?
Oh yeah, I would never.
Turned out sound baffles?
Right. Yeah. Yeah, but then keep in mind, speaking volumes, like when you're preaching, that should never be 80.
well, no. All right.
More like 65.
Peeling wallpaper off the walls.
Right. 65, 70.
They already check it during preaching.
Things to aspire to.
You know, because I'm always like you should be around that distance.
Yeah.
And I should hear you.
Yeah.
But not hear the amplification overpower.
Yeah. Okay.
But yeah, you kind of gotta just gauge. That's why I said you gotta use your eyes to watch people,
Yeah, people are.
during worship to see what they're doing.
And I always typically try to gauge things by if a bunch of people are having an issue versus like one person. You know.
Right.
Okay.
One person's always gonna have an issue. There's always gonna be one.
By the way, the Apple Watches,
Sounds
they
good.
go off at 90. They
really?
say that you're in a noisy
Oh.
environment.
Vibrate or something?
No, it comes up.
They do all
and
sorts
tells
of
you.
things.
Yeah.
John Piper was preaching a sermon, and his went off because it thought he was having, because he was moving around so much, it thought he was having a medical emergency.
Those are always fun when people, oh, it's too loud. I'm like,
Oh, they actually show you the wall? Oh, really?
I know, we're still talking.
We'll see what people.
We'll see.
Right, they don't.
We got people with apples.
Right.
No,
Pears and
that's okay, he
peaches.
knows all this anyway.
Apples, pears,
All right.
and peaches.
And
Bye-bye.
you've answered all my questions, so I don't know how everybody else.
Yeah, any other?
We are incredibly
Should I stop the
appreciative,
recording?
Jonah. Really, we are.
Stop
Yeah.
the recording.
Can you have me play these back?
Huh?
Can you play something back off of?
Oh, yeah.
Hey, should I stop the recording?
Yeah. I think
I
that's
gotta
good.
remember how to do this.